Cole, please. I'm asking you to stop. Outside the gleaming glass tower of her company headquarters, Isabella Vance's brow furrowed slightly. She looked at me, her voice calm and steady. It was a soft voice, carefully modulated, yet it carried a weight of finality that felt like a wall of ice. The usual crowd of employees flooding out of the building for the day couldn't help but slow down, their curious glances and hushed whispers creating a low buzz in the New York City air. Wow, you can set your watch by him. The second we clock out, Mr. Preston is here. Of course. He's got to uphold his title as New York's most devoted suitor, doesn't he? It's true. Cole Preston might be late for a board meeting, but he's never late for this. But look at her face. I think Ms. Vance has finally had enough. Our boss is the ice queen of Manhattan for a reason. No man has ever cracked that shell. You have to give Preston credit, though, 3 years of this. If it were me, I'd have found a new girl ages ago. Yeah, the great chase, until you're left with nothing. Let's get out of here before she sees us. We'll be updating our resumes by morning. I blinked, my mind a fog. A deep, hazy confusion clouded my vision, as if I were waking from a long dream. After a moment, the world snapped back into focus. My eyes regained their clarity. I looked down at the custom-made birthday cake in my hands, then up at the impossibly beautiful woman standing before me. I was stunned. I've been transmigrated. And I'd landed in the body of a trust fund kid whose entire personality revolved around chasing a woman. The original owner of this body shared my name, Cole Preston, the scion of the Preston family, one of the 5 legacy families of New York. His status was impeccable, his net worth in the billions. He controlled dozens of companies, with a collection of luxury cars and mansions too numerous to count. He was born at the finish line. The woman opposite me, Isabella Vance, was the CEO of a publicly traded company and the heiress of the Vance family, a newer but still powerful dynasty in the city. Her exceptional business acumen and frosty demeanor had earned her the nickname the Ice Queen. 3 years ago, the original Cole had met her by chance. He fell for her instantly and began a relentless pursuit. On every holiday, every birthday, he would send the most extravagant gifts and heartfelt wishes, even humbling himself, the great Cole Preston, to win her affection. Unfortunately, it was a one-sided love story. No matter how he tried, he couldn't capture her heart. Today was Isabella Vance's birthday. The original Cole had planned to celebrate it with her, buying not only a custom cake but also an obscenely expensive necklace, intending to confess his feelings once and for all. But before he could make his move, I arrived, just in time to hear her cold, dismissive words. As the original Cole's memories flooded my mind, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly to myself. To think that I, the player of all players, would end up as someone's pathetic stalker. I involuntarily looked up at the woman before me. A perfect oval face, delicate brows, and stunning eyes that held a hint of ice. She wore a sharp, tailored power suit, her long, slender legs encased in black stockings, ending in a pair of sleek gray stilettos. I had to admit, she was a knockout. Even for someone like me, who had seen his fair share of beautiful women, she was a sight to behold. But that was all. There was no way I could be like the original Cole, torturing myself over a woman who wasn't interested. I much preferred relationships built on mutual, uncomplicated attraction. At that moment, Alex, my bodyguard standing behind me, couldn't take it anymore. "Ms. Vance," he interjected, "the boss just came to wish you a happy birthday." "Don't you think that was a little harsh?" Isabella's cold gaze flickered to Alex, then back to me. She seemed to realize her words might have been too sharp and quickly added, "I'm sorry, that may have come out wrong. But I just want to make it clear, Cole. I have never had romantic feelings for you. So, I hope you'll stop bothering me in the future." "Thank you. Ms. Vance, you." Alex's eyes widened, but he was at a loss for words. He'd watched me grow up and knew my personality well. While he didn't understand matters of the heart, he knew this was the first time I had ever been serious about someone. He'd never seen me so persistent. But he could also see that the woman in front of us truly did not like me. He just didn't know how to tell me to let it go. I had finally gathered my thoughts. I held up a hand to stop Alex from speaking further, then managed a calm smile as I looked at the Ice Queen. It seems I've been misreading the situation all this time, I said, my tone even. I've even become a nuisance in your life. If you don't like it, Ms. Vance, then you won't see me again. With that, I gave a polite, apologetic nod. Then, in full view of everyone, I walked over to the nearby trash can, dropped the pristine birthday cake inside, and turned to get into my car. Are you kidding me? Why would I waste my time chasing someone who clearly wasn't interested? I wasn't about to continue playing the fool. With my current status and resources, I could have any woman I wanted. Why waste my energy here? As I walked away without a backward glance, Isabella Vance blinked, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. He's finally giving up? Although she had been direct with me before, I had always persisted, clinging to hope for 3 long years. She hadn't expected me to leave so decisively this time. Had her words been too cruel, crushing his spirit completely? Well, it was for the best. At least now she could finally be free of my constant presence. Her life could be a little more peaceful. As the luxury car sped away, Isabella finally turned and walked back into the building. Meanwhile, in the car, Alex was driving distractedly. He kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror, seeing me relaxed and composed in the back seat, a faint smile on my lips. He couldn't understand it. Why is the boss so calm? He should be heartbroken. He liked Ms. Vance so much, and now it's all over. Their connection is completely severed. Could it be, he's finally seen the light? Realized she isn't worth it and is ready to move on? Of course, he only dared to think these things. He wouldn't say them out loud and risk upsetting me. Still, from his perspective, cutting ties with Isabella Vance was absolutely a good thing. I, sitting in the back, had no idea what Alex was thinking. At that moment, a mechanical voice echoed in my mind. Ding! Host has deviated from the villain's path. System activating. Ding! The passerby system has been successfully activated. A system? I was taken aback. As a modern man, I was an avid reader, especially of web novels. I knew the drill. Every transmigrator gets a cheat, a golden ticket. With its help, I was destined to rise to the top of the world. But, a villain? A passerby system? What the hell was that? Was the original owner of this body some kind of supervillain? That couldn't be right. Aside from being a bit of a simp, the original Cole had no other strange habits. He was competent, had his own successful ventures, and was known for being charming and polite. He never abused his power or harmed society. He was a world away from the typical arrogant, hedonistic rich kids. His character profile didn't fit a villain at all. As I pondered this, lines of text appeared in my vision. System notification: this world is a megaverse created by the fusion of multiple urban romance novels. Please be aware that the world's order, rules, and laws may contain certain loopholes. The original host was a designated villain. His failure to win over the female lead, Isabella Vance, was meant to drive him to bitterness and deceit. However, with the host's arrival, your identity has been reset. You are now an ordinary passerby, or an NPC, in this world. Warning: do not underestimate seemingly ordinary passers-by. They may be powerful figures in disguise who enjoy pretending to be weak. Provoking them could have fatal consequences. By interacting with the main characters of this world, positive or negative interactions, you can earn passerby points. These points can be used for system lotteries. Note: the system's assessment of plot changes is final and cannot be questioned by the host. Ding! Congratulations to the host for interacting with female lead Isabella Vance and ending the devoted suitor plotline. Passerby points plus 100. I stared at the system notification, momentarily stunned. So, I was living in a world cobbled together from a bunch of novels. No wonder. A handsome, wealthy heir with a good personality deciding to simp for a woman for 3 years straight never made sense. With that kind of dedication, he could have found someone younger and more appreciative in a heartbeat. The moment I framed it as a novel's plot, it all clicked. It seemed that if I wanted system rewards, I'd have to interact with these main characters. But right now, the only one I knew was Isabella Vance. Go back to being her stalker? Absolutely not. Ding. Host need not worry. When a key character appears, the system will notify you. The system's voice chimed in again, easing my concerns. If the system could point out the protagonists for me, I could not only farm passerby points but also avoid unnecessary trouble. After all, every novel protagonist has some kind of superpower, be it an unbeatable family background or godlike combat skills. While I, Cole Preston, was a big shot in New York, I was still a step below the truly old money families in places like DC. And as for fighting skills, I was a complete amateur. Why would a billionaire heir learn how to throw a punch? So, caution was the best policy. Vanguard Estates, a subsidiary of the Preston Group. As the legal representative of the company, I, the original Cole Preston, was personally in charge of all its operations. This alone showed that the original Cole was far from incompetent. He had dual master's degrees, extensive management experience, and a sharp mind. He wasn't a lazy rich kid, either. His free time was spent at the gym, swimming, or playing golf with associates. His schedule was packed, and he was almost flawless. His only weakness was his zero EQ when it came to romance. He'd never been in a real relationship, and his one brave attempt was the pursuit of Isabella Vance, a one-sided effort that ended in heartbreak. The original Cole, it seemed, was a man destined to learn about love the hard way. CEO's office. I sat in the large leather chair, reviewing company documents. Over the next few days, I settled into my new identity, getting a handle on the company's affairs. Vanguard Estates was a giant in the real estate world, not just in New York but across the country. Its projects covered 60% of the nation's major cities, with annual profits in the tens of billions. Compared to the stagnant real estate market I knew from my past life, this world's market was a gold mine. Knock, knock. Mr. Preston. A clear, feminine voice came from the door. Come in, I said. The door opened, and a woman in a professional business suit walked in, holding a file. Her name was Jessica Reed, my executive assistant. She was 28, a year older than me. I looked up at her. Jessica. What can I do for you? Jessica bowed her head slightly. Mr. Preston, this contract is about to expire. I was wondering if you wanted to renew our partnership with them. I raised an eyebrow. Oh? And who is our partner? Lunabella Cosmetics, she replied. The name made me pause. Lunabella Cosmetics was the beauty company founded by Isabella Vance herself. And it was this very partnership that had led to the original Cole meeting her in the first place. Back then, Isabella's company was a fledgling startup. She had poured all her capital into R&D and had no money left for marketing. Vanguard Estates, backed by the colossal Preston Group, had marketing resources to spare. But the original Cole, smitten with her and aware of her struggles, offered a profit-sharing partnership. The split was 10 to 90. Vanguard Estates took 10%, Lunabella took 90%. Considering the immense cost of a nationwide marketing campaign, this deal was a guaranteed loss for Vanguard. But the original Cole didn't care. He brushed it off, saying he saw great potential in Lunabella and that even a small cut would be profitable. It was a transparent lie to save Isabella from feeling indebted. Over the past 3 years of this partnership, Vanguard hadn't made a single dollar from Lunabella. In fact, it had continuously poured its own money in. Not only that, but almost all of Lunabella's physical stores across the country were located in prime commercial properties owned by Vanguard Estates. And the rent? All of it was waived. Isabella, however, knew none of this. She naively believed they had a mutually beneficial partnership. Thinking about everything the original Cole had done for her, I couldn't help but sigh. What a hopeless romantic. And he got nothing in return. Mr. Preston? Mr. Preston. Jessica's voice pulled me from my thoughts. She was biting her lip, looking concerned. I snapped back to reality and looked at her. How long until the contract expires? It's up next month, she answered. I nodded. All right. In the coming days, I want you to coordinate with their team. Inform them that we will not be renewing the partnership. They'll need to find another marketing firm. As for the retail spaces, if Lunabella wishes to continue operating in Vanguard properties, the lease terms will have to be renegotiated. Jessica's brows furrowed in confusion. As my assistant, she knew all about the original Cole's, feelings for the CEO of Lunabella. She remembered how more than half of the company's senior management had opposed the initial deal, but I had pushed it through anyway. She knew I would often visit Lunabella's office just to see Isabella. She might not have known why Isabella didn't like me, but she knew I was head over heels for her. After all, not many people would willingly throw away hundreds of millions of dollars over 3 years. But now, why was I suddenly terminating the partnership? Did they have a fight? Or, is he not in love with her anymore? Jessica, why are you staring at me? Is there something on my face? I asked with a gentle smile, teasing her. Jessica flinched, immediately lowering her head. My apologies, Mr. Preston. I was just lost in thought. I waved it off. It's fine. Did you get all that? Yes. I have it all. Good. You can go now. Yes, Mr. Preston. Lunabella Cosmetics. CEO's office. What? You're saying Vanguard Estates is canceling our contract? Isabella Vance looked up from her desk, her delicate features etched with shock as she listened to her assistant's report. Yes, Ms. Vance. Someone from Vanguard's executive office just called our HR department. Our contract expires in a month, and they will not be renewing. We'll have to find a new partner for our product promotions. As for our retail stores, they said the rent needs to be renegotiated, or we'll have to find new locations, her assistant said, her voice laced with worry. For the past 3 years, Lunabella's rapid growth was inseparable from Vanguard's support. The marketing campaigns they provided were the best in the city. The success of every new product launch was largely due to their powerful promotion. If they cancelled the partnership, she'd have to find another firm, and it was unlikely they would be as effective. And the stores? Vanguard owns 60% of the country's prime commercial real estate. All of Lunabella's flagship stores were in Vanguard's busiest, most prestigious locations, all rent-free. If she had to move, it would not only be time-consuming but would also mean losing a huge portion of her established customer base. Isabella frowned, rubbing her temples. The partnership with Vanguard had always been smooth. Lunabella had grown from a small, $10 million startup to a company worth hundreds of millions. Of course, she assumed Vanguard was also making a handsome profit. After all, they had a profit-sharing model, even if she knew her cut was likely larger. But ending the partnership now was a massive headache. Thinking back to Cole's decisive departure the other day, Isabella let out a soft sigh. Is this his way of getting revenge? She had to admit, it was effective. Her company had a new product line ready for launch, but now, it would have to be postponed. As for the stores, as long as his terms weren't too outrageous, she had no choice but to accept. She dismissed her assistant and sat alone in the quiet office, rubbing her face tiredly as she sank into thought. After a long moment of hesitation, she picked up her phone and dialed my number. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Please try again later. A full minute later, the automated voice of the operator filled the silence. Isabella's eyes widened slightly. She was stunned. In the past, whenever she called, I would answer almost instantly. If I ever missed a call, I would immediately text her an explanation. But now. She frowned, a strange feeling of unease settling in her chest. She wasn't a fool. She knew I was ignoring her on purpose. She tried again. This time, it connected. Isabella spoke first, her tone sharp. What were you doing? Do you need something? I replied from the other end, my voice completely flat and devoid of emotion. She hesitated for a second. Are you free tomorrow? I'd like to treat you to dinner to discuss the store leases. No need. Just contact my assistant, Jessica. I've handed the matter over to her. Isabella's eyelashes fluttered. It had taken all her courage to make this call. Not long ago, I had promised to stop bothering her, and she had silently agreed. By calling me now, she was breaking that unspoken agreement, essentially lowering her head to me. But she never expected that I wouldn't even agree to meet her, instead pushing her off to my assistant. "Cole Preston, are you doing this because of what happened the other day?" Isabella asked, a sense of grievance rising in her chest. On the other end, I let out a light chuckle. "Ms. Vance, you're overthinking it. I've already forgotten about that day. We're not renewing because the contract is up, simple as that. Besides, in just 3 short years, you've managed to increase your company's value 100-fold. I'm sure you'll do just fine without Vanguard Estates." Isabella's heart felt a complicated mix of emotions. I used to call her Isabella, or even Bella. She hadn't liked the nicknames, but at least they showed I was trying to close the distance between us. Now, Ms. Vance was a clear signal of the chasm that had opened up. She couldn't help but ask, "So there's no room for negotiation? We can't continue our partnership?" "That's right. New York is a big city, there's more than one Vanguard Estates. I'm sure you'll find a suitable partner. I wish Lunabella continued success and prosperity." "I see. I understand," Isabella said, her voice filled with disappointment. "Good. I have to go now." And without waiting for her to reply, I hung up. Isabella put her phone down, staring blankly around her office. Cutting ties with me was what she had always wanted. But for some reason, she didn't feel happy at all. She never truly disliked me. After all, when she was at her most helpless, I was the one who had extended a helping hand. The only reason she kept her distance was because she had no romantic feelings for me. She had always seen me as a friend, an older brother. She just never imagined their relationship would become so strained. Now, they probably couldn't even be friends. Vanguard Estates. Ding. Phone conversation with female lead Isabella Vance completed. Passerby points plus 100. I sat in my chair, my fingers tapping a steady rhythm on the polished mahogany desk. A one-sided love affair with no future? I would cut it off without a second thought. I wasn't a lovesick fool like the original Cole. I didn't believe that relentless persistence could move a heart that wasn't open. I preferred direct, honest communication. Ending the partnership with Lunabella was my way of saying goodbye to the past. I opened a drawer and pulled out a pack of ridiculously expensive, bespoke cigarettes. The original Cole didn't smoke, but that didn't mean I didn't. I tapped the pack twice on the desk, expertly opening it. "Light it." I took a deep drag, and a plume of white smoke escaped my lips. I had to admit, the cigarette had no kick. It was less satisfying than the cheap Marlboros I used to smoke. And maybe because this body had never smoked before, a wave of dizziness washed over me, my head spinning. Well, then. Good a time as any to quit. After just 2 puffs, I decisively stubbed the cigarette out in the ashtray. A few days later, Isabella Vance met with Jessica Reed to negotiate the lease agreements for her Lunabella stores. The meeting went smoothly, a contract was signed in under an hour. After all, whatever price Vanguard Estates quoted, Lunabella was in a position where they had no choice but to accept. Ring, ring. Just then, my phone buzzed. A glance at the screen showed it was my mother, Victoria Preston. I answered immediately. "Hey, Mom. What's up?" "Cole, sweetheart," she began, her voice brimming with a poorly concealed cheerfulness. "You're not still chasing that Vance girl, are you? When you get off work, I have something I want to talk to you about." My mother had never been a fan of Isabella. For one, compared to the Prestons, the Vance family was second tier, their legacy and influence paling in comparison. Her son, Cole Preston, was the heir to the entire Preston group. His future wife needed to be from one of New York's true legacy families. She didn't think the Vance heiress was worthy. The other reason was Isabella's attitude. The so-called ice queen was just plain cold to her son. A woman like that, even if you married her, would never be truly dedicated to the family. So, when she heard I had finally cut ties, Victoria was ecstatic. I cleared my throat. "Mom, where did you hear about Isabella and me?" "I don't need to hear about your little dramas. But it's for the best. I never liked her anyway. A clean break means you can find someone new. Now, you didn't answer my question. What time are you done today? I need to talk to you. Things are quiet at the office, I can leave any time, I said. Just tell me what's on your mind. Alright, I'll get right to it, she said, a delighted laugh bubbling through the phone. You're not getting any younger, son. Your father and I aren't pushing for marriage, but you should at least have a girlfriend. Your Aunt Eleanor was joking with me today about setting you up with her Thea, just to see if you two click. I didn't even think twice, I just said yes. Cole, honey, you don't have to do much. Just pick Thea up from her school, take her to dinner, and talk about whatever you young people talk about. I was speechless for a few seconds. Aunt Eleanor, as my mother called her, was Eleanor Sutton, wife of the second-in-command of the Sutton family. She was also my mother's closest friend, which really meant they were mahjong partners who occasionally went shopping and subtly competed with each other. The Suttons were an old money family, one of the city's other great dynasties, though still a notch below the Prestons. Thea was her daughter. I'd never met her, but I'd heard she was a teacher. Putting it all together, was I being set up on a blind date? Son, your silence is your consent, my mother chirped. I'll text you the address and her number. When you meet Thea, be a gentleman. Show her what the Prestons are made of. And you are not allowed to say no. I don't know what I'd tell Eleanor. The sound of her triumphant laughter echoed before she hung up. I sighed, a helpless smile on my face. The matriarch had spoken. It looked like I had no choice. A moment later, a text arrived with the school's address and Thea Sutton's phone number. Sterling Preparatory Academy, one of New York's most prestigious private schools. The final bell hadn't even rung, but the street outside was already lined with Blacktown cars and luxury SUVs, silently waiting to ferry their young masters and mistresses home. I pulled up near the main gate of Sterling Prep and dialed Thea's number. It rang for a while before someone picked up. A hesitant, soft female voice answered. Hello? Who is this? Hi, this is Cole Preston, I said, my voice low and calm, my tone deliberately humble. I'm outside the school gates. Is this a good time for you to come down, Miss Sutton? Oh. Yes, I'll be right down. It might take me a few minutes. No problem, take your time. Just call me when you get to the gate, and I'll come meet you. Okay, thank you. That's very kind. I could hear the tension in her voice. But she'd already agreed to come down, nervous or not, she had to face it. I hung up the phone and looked at the photo my mother had sent. In the picture, a girl stood on a sandy beach, her bare feet sinking into the sand. She had a slender build, porcelain white skin, and long hair cascading down her back. She wore a simple, light blue sundress. Her delicate face was lit up by a heart-stopping smile, her cheeks slightly full, giving her a look that was both elegant and adorably vibrant. As I was admiring the photo, the system's voice chimed in my ear. Ding! Host has interacted with female lead Thea Sutton via conversation. Passerby points plus 100. Reminder, Thea Sutton is the fiancée of Ethan Cross, the protégé of a legendary healer. He will soon descend from his mountain retreat and make a powerful entrance into the world. Fiancé? Protégé of a legendary healer? My brain nearly short-circuited. I couldn't believe I'd run into the second female lead so quickly. But if she was already engaged, why was her mother setting her up on blind dates? Did the Suttons not know about this protégé? Or did they not know about the engagement itself? Well, I was already here. I couldn't just leave. Besides, the more I interacted with her, the more passerby points I could get. Soon enough, Thea Sutton walked towards the school gates. Ms. Sutton? As she looked around, I got out of the car and walked right up to her. I was dressed simply today, a plain white t-shirt and black joggers, a clean and neat look. Paired with a warm, disarming smile, it gave off a sunny, approachable vibe. At the same time, I sized up my blind date. She looked different from the photo. Today, Thea was wearing a conservative gray long-sleeved blouse and light blue trousers, her hair pulled back in a high ponytail. It was a much more staid and mature look. A faint blush on her cheeks, however, betrayed her nervousness and shyness. Thea stared at me for a few seconds, her large, curious eyes blinking. You're Cole Preston? I smiled and nodded. First time meeting you. It's a pleasure. I extended my right hand. Seeing this, her face turned a shade redder. She flusteredly extended her own hand to shake mine, stammering, "Hello, nice to meet you too." I could clearly see her state and was a little surprised. For a teacher, she was incredibly shy. I suggested, "It's about dinner time. How about we go get something to eat first?" Okay, Thea mumbled, nodding, her heart fluttering nervously. Her first impression of me was good. He was humble, spoke gently, and was very handsome. But then she remembered her mother's words, "This is your blind date. If we get along, I might have to marry him." I, of course, had no idea what was going on in her head. "Is there anything you're in the mood for, Thea?" She started, then quickly replied, I'm fine with anything." "Is that so?" Seeing her push the decision back to me, I gave a wry smile and started considering our options, a fancy downtown steakhouse or maybe that high-end Italian place. But just then, another series of prompts appeared before my eyes. Thea Sutton, female, 24. Personality, gentle, obedient, polite. Likes, spicy and sweet foods. The Suttons are a traditional family. Thea has grown up following the arrangements of her elders, which has cultivated her current sheltered personality. Though curious about the outside world, she has never dared to explore it. If possible, you might consider taking her to try something more down-to-earth. This will surely pique her interest. Down-to-earth. Following the system's hint, I thought for a moment, then turned to Thea. I hear the Southside Market has a lot of great food. Would you be interested in checking it out? Thea, as before, just nodded politely. Whatever you think is best. It was around 7 in the evening. The sky was darkening, a black canvas stretching overhead. The Southside Market, however, was a riot of color and light. Neon signs flashed, food stalls glowed, and crowds of people milled about. The street was packed with a river of cars, a picture of bustling urban life. I had Alex park the car and then led Thea into the heart of the vibrant street. Thea's eyes widened, taking in the scene with a look of pure astonishment. She knew the Southside Market was a famous spot for street food in New York, but she had never been. Seeing the shoulder-to-shoulder crowds, she was completely taken aback. "Is it too noisy here?" I asked, noticing her expression. "If you don't like it, we can find a quieter place." Thea quickly waved her hands. No, I had no idea it would be so crowded at night." I smiled. "The Southside Market is a famous night market. You can find almost any kind of snack here, and the prices are great. A lot of people come here to hang out." Thea couldn't help but ask, "Do you come here often, Cole?" "From time to time," I said. "Sometimes the food here is just as good as what you'd get in a fancy restaurant. Come on, I'll show you around." With that, I instinctively took her small hand and led her deeper into the market. Thea flinched, her face immediately flushing again, but seeing that I seemed oblivious to the fact that we were holding hands, she didn't say anything. And so, we began to wander, soaking in the lively atmosphere. Tacos. Get your world-famous tacos here. You've tried the rest, now try the best. Hot dogs. New York's finest. Get 'em while they're hot. Grand opening. Grand opening. Spend 50, get 20 off. Come on in, folks. Pure cotton t-shirts. Factory clearance. Everything must go. $5 a shirt, $5. You're losing money if you don't buy one. Hand-rolled crepes, stuffed to the brim. Listening to the cacophony of vendors hawking their wares, Thea was almost dizzy. But she had to admit, it was incredibly lively, and everyone seemed so real. Growl. We hadn't walked for long when, surrounded by the tantalizing smells of food, Thea's stomach let out an embarrassing protest. "Hungry?" I asked. Thea's face turned beet red. She nodded shyly, wishing the ground would swallow her whole. To think, on her first date, something so mortifying would happen. Her stomach had no manners at all. I chuckled. Let's find a place to eat then. You've been looking around for a while. See anything you want to try? Thea looked up at me, hesitated for a moment, then pointed to a table where diners were feasting on a pile of red shellfish. Could we have that? She asked, a cute pout forming on her lips, a clear sign of her craving. I followed her gaze. Damn! She wanted the spicy crawfish. That stuff could be incredibly hot. Could her delicate stomach handle it? But seeing the look of anticipation on her face, I didn't have the heart to refuse. Sure, I said. Let's get that. We found a table, and I ordered 2 pounds of crawfish along with a few other dishes. Soon, a heaping platter of bright red crawfish was placed before us, accompanied by mapo tofu, garlic eggplant, sweet and sour ribs, and a light fish soup. The colors were vibrant, the food glistening, making one's mouth water. The aroma from the spicy crawfish alone was intoxicating. Gulp! Thea swallowed hard, her eyes fixed on the platter, occasionally glancing at me as if to ask if it was okay to start. Food's here. Let's dig in before it gets cold, I said with a laugh, immediately grabbing a crawfish and starting to peel it. Seeing this, Thea abandoned her reservations and eagerly reached for one herself. So, how is it? I asked. She nodded, a sweet smile gracing her lips. It's delicious, just a little spicy. I laughed. Spicy crawfish has to be spicy to be good. You can't handle spice, Thea? No, it's fine. I just don't eat it very often. Well, if you ever crave it again, you can just call me. You'll come with me? Of course. We're friends now, aren't we? Before long, Thea's face was flushed from the heat, but she was still diligently working on the crawfish in her bowl. Though she ate demurely, it was clear she was thoroughly enjoying the meal. We talked as we ate, sharing stories about our lives and the interesting things around us, indirectly getting to know each other better. Even our way of addressing each other changed. I started calling her Thea, and she affectionately called me Cole. One meal had brought us much closer. Through our brief time together, I got a general sense of her personality, a gentle girl, but with a streak of earnestness, and also quite shy. After we had finished most of the food, I looked at the mountain of empty shells in front of Thea and marveled. This girl could really handle her spice. I certainly couldn't have eaten that much. After paying the bill, we left the restaurant. It's still early. Want to walk around some more? I asked, looking at the vibrant night market, a gentle smile on my face. Okay, Thea agreed, her own face breaking into a radiant smile. Even if I hadn't suggested it, she would have. She had spent most of her life at home, rarely going out. The few times she did, it was to high-end, formal places arranged by her family. Even now as a teacher, she only occasionally went to small restaurants near the school with her female colleagues. This was her first time in a place so full of raw, everyday life, and it felt wonderful. No need for strict etiquette, free to do and buy whatever she wanted. Suddenly, Thea's eyes lit up, and she ran towards a small stall on the side of the path. It was a little jewelry stand run by an older woman. Thea picked up a small, glittering silver-colored bracelet and looked up at the vendor. This is so pretty. Excuse me, how much is this? The woman eyed Thea, then glanced at me, noting our well-dressed appearance. A wide grin spread across her face. Honey, you've got a good eye. That bracelet is pure sterling silver, one of a kind at my stall. You put that on, your boyfriend here will think you look even more beautiful. And it's a steal, only $29.99. Hearing the woman mistake our relationship, Thea froze, her face blushing. She snuck a peek at me, and seeing no reaction, she didn't bother to correct the vendor. She held the bracelet she liked up to her wrist and said shyly, "Okay, I'll take this one." "How do I pay?" The woman boomed, "Sweetie, I take cash or card, whatever you like." "I'll pay with cash, then." Thea unzipped her wallet and pulled out 2 crisp $20 bills from a thick wad of cash. "Ahem, Thea, hold on," I interjected, placing my hand over hers just as she was about to hand over the money. Thea looked at me, confused. "What is it, Cole? Is the bracelet not nice?" I looked at her innocent face and was at a loss for words. First, nothing sold at a street stall like this was ever pure sterling silver. The bracelet she chose probably cost $5 to make, at most. This vendor quoting almost $30 was treating Thea like a naive tourist ripe for the picking. But seeing her guileless expression, I realized she had probably never been exposed to this kind of street market and was easily fooled. Second, you don't flash cash like that. The South Side market had all sorts of people. The way she pulled out that wad of bills was like painting a target on her back. It was lucky I was with her. If she were alone, she might have attracted the wrong kind of attention. Of course, I couldn't say all this to her face right now. I'd mention it later. As for the bracelet, I was going to haggle. I turned to her with a relaxed smile. The bracelet is beautiful, but don't you think the price is a little off? How about you let me handle this? I'll show you how it's done. Off? She said, puzzled. Did I overpay? But $29 for a bracelet I love seems like a great deal. The cheapest jewelry I've ever seen in a store was a few $100s. But despite her confusion, she obediently handed me the money. Then, she watched as I began my performance with the vendor. Ma'am, the bracelet is nice, but the price is a bit steep. Can you do any better? The vendor put on a friendly smile. Young man, this is quality stuff. That price is already a bargain. But you two are a sweet couple, so I'll take a small loss. How about I knock off $5 for you? $24.99, how's that? I just smiled. Still too high. A little lower. The vendor's expression turned troubled. Son, I really can't go any lower. That's my cost price. Any lower and I'm losing money. It's not easy for an old woman like me to make a living, you have to understand. At this, I simply placed the bracelet back on the counter. In that case, we'll pass. We'll check out the other stalls. Seeing me turn to leave, the vendor got anxious. Hey. Young man, all right. I'll take another 10 off. $14.99, take it. Deal? I shook my head. The most I'll pay for this is $5. If not, we're good. The vendor's face fell. She clearly knew I wasn't falling for her act, but she tried one last time. Son, you drive a hard bargain. Can't you add a little more? 5 is too low. You two are dressed so nicely, you're not short on a few bucks. I stood firm, shaking my head again. $5 is the final offer. We're not haggling. Seeing she couldn't sway me, the vendor dropped the act. Fine. $5 it is. You two seem like nice kids, so I'll take the loss. Here, take the bracelet. I paid with my phone, took the bracelet, and we walked away. Here you go, your bracelet. And here's your money back. I handed the bracelet and the two $20 bills back to Thea. I had paid with my own money. Thea took the bracelet and the cash, but her mind was still reeling. She had seen the whole exchange. A nearly $30 item, and Cole had managed to get it for $5. It was only then that she understood. The vendor she thought was so simple and kind had been trying to cheat her. This bracelet was probably not the quality she claimed, and certainly not sterling silver. Looking at Thea's dazed expression, I couldn't help but tease, "What are you looking at me for?" Thea blinked her wide eyes. "Cole, how did you know the bracelet was a fake?" I looked at her innocent face. I seriously wondered how the Suttons had raised their daughter. This was a common street-side trick that most people would see through. A few trips to a market like this and you'd learn all the scams. But then I remembered her background, the pampered daughter of the Sutton family. Even her job was at a prestigious school owned by her family's corporation. She had basically been sheltered her entire life. It was normal that she wouldn't know about these things. So, I explained, Thea, when you shop at a night market, you're looking for cheap, fun, and practical things. The jewelry stalls here are all selling plated iron or copper for looks. There's no real silver. The vendor probably saw we were dressed well and decided to quote a high price. If she made the sale, it's a huge profit. If not, she loses nothing. Also, I added gently, don't flash your money around. In the future, use your card or phone to pay if you can. The way you pulled out that cash, if the wrong person saw it, they might get ideas. Thea's face turned red with embarrassment. Okay, Cole. I understand. Though I was just explaining the situation, she could hear the gentle warning in my voice. What embarrassed her was that she, a teacher, was being taught a lesson. But she also knew she had been careless, and Cole's reminder was out of concern for her. Ding! Female lead Thea Sutton's favorability towards you +1. I paused for a second, not thinking much of it. I had already sensed during dinner that her impression of me was quite good. Come on, I said. Let's walk a bit more, and then I'll take you home. Okay. Just then, a young couple walked past us. The girl was shaking a newly bought bracelet on her wrist, happily asking her boyfriend, honey, does this bracelet look good on me? The boyfriend replied, it's beautiful. Everything looks beautiful on you. The girl said smugly, you're just saying that. But I still think I paid too much. I should have haggled more. I bet I could have gotten it for $3 instead of $5. The boyfriend said, $5 is fine. It's not easy for that girl to run her little business. The girl was not happy. Mark, what's that supposed to mean? So it's my fault now? Tell me, do you have a crush on that vendor girl? The boy quickly explained, how could I? Honey, you have my whole heart. I don't even look at other women. The girl said, don't give me that. I don't believe your sweet talk. Your allowance is cut in half this month. You get $150. The boy panicked. Honey, you can't do that. $150 is too little. $100. No. $150, you said $150. You can't go any lower. Watching the couple walk by, Thea and I instinctively glanced at each other. Of course, it wasn't their conversation that caught our attention, but the bracelet on the girl's wrist. It was identical to the one in Thea's hand. In that moment, we both felt like complete fools. Ahem. I faked a cough to hide my embarrassment. I think there's a dessert stall up ahead. Want to go check it out? Sure, Thea quickly nodded, her left hand instinctively covering the bracelet on her right wrist. Oh no. I still got scammed by that woman. This bracelet was only worth a few dollars. We had only taken a few steps when a scrawny young man, walking hastily, accidentally bumped into Thea. Sorry. Are you okay? Before either of us could react, the young man bowed, apologizing profusely to Thea. I didn't press the issue, just quickly turned to her. Are you all right? Did he hurt you? Thea, clutching her purse, waved her hand. I'm fine, she said with a smile. Seeing that Thea was unharmed, I didn't hold the man accountable and let him go. After that, we grabbed some dessert from a nearby stall before I drove her home. Outside the Sutton family mansion. Cole, thank you for tonight. I had a really great time, Thea said as she got out of the car, standing with her feet slightly together, happily thanking me. My pleasure. I had a great time too, I replied. If you ever want to hang out again, just give me a call. I will. I'll head in now, she nodded. All right. After dropping Thea off, I turned the car around to leave. Haha, boss, what do you think of Miss Sutton? Alex, my driver, asked with a chuckle. Although I had told him not to follow me, he had worried about my safety and tailed me from a distance. He had seen everything, the laughing, the talking, even the hand-holding. She was a world of difference from the icy Ms. Vance. What do I think of what? Her. Boss, I heard Miss Sutton is a teacher, and she's the daughter of the Sutton family. She's a perfect match for you. And she's beautiful and seems really nice. I shot him a look. Alex, you're getting bold. Disobeying my orders now? How did you know how things went with Miss Sutton? And now you're gossiping about your boss's private life. You don't want this month's salary, do you? But Alex was unfazed. Boss, I'm speaking from the heart. I think Miss Sutton is great. I bet she'd be really good to you. Keep talking. I warned, narrowing my eyes. Okay, okay. I'll shut up. Alex laughed and didn't say more. He could tell I wasn't really angry, just that I didn't want him discussing my business with Thea. As soon as I got back to my private villa, my mother called. Son, how did it go with Thea tonight? It was fine, Mom. Miss Sutton is very easy to talk to, I explained simply. Of course she is. The Suttons are a good family, and that girl Thea has been polite and gentle since she was a child. If she were to become a Preston, I would be so happy, haha. Mom, I said quickly, we just met. You're getting way ahead of yourself. What's the rush? You get to know each other, and before you know it, you're family. It won't take long. You're a grown man now, and I'm waiting for grandchildren, you know. When you have time, go visit Thea at her school more often. Cultivate those feelings, you understand? Fine, fine, whatever you say. Mom, I have to go, I have some work to do. I quickly changed the subject, knowing I couldn't win. Alright, then. Get some rest when you're done. And make time to see Thea. My mother finally relented. After hanging up, I tossed my phone on the table. Even if my mother hadn't said anything, I planned on contacting Thea more. She was a female lead, after all, and her personality was genuinely nice. The more I interacted with her, the more passerby points I could earn. With that thought, I opened the system panel. Host, Cole Preston. Age, 27. Identity, Preston family heir, CEO of Vanguard Estates. Physique, 5, average, 3, human limit, 10, charisma, 6, average, 3, human limit, 10, passerby points, 1088. The stats didn't surprise me. The original Cole had a consistent gym routine, so it was normal for his physique to be above average. He was also handsome, not drop-dead gorgeous, but definitely good-looking. Combined with his usual dapper style, he exuded a mature charm. As for the points, aside from the 100 from Isabella, the rest were almost all from my time with Thea today. She was a point-farming goldmine. I couldn't let that go. System, I want to do a lottery draw, I thought. 100 points per draw. With over 1,000 points, I could do 10 draws. Ding. Host's request received. Initiating lottery draw. A large, golden spinning wheel, visible only to me, appeared in front of my eyes. As it spun, rewards began to pop up. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received the skill, photographic recall. Anything you see once, you will remember in detail. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received a box of premium hand warmers. Stick one on, and you'll never be cold in winter. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received the ability, fluent in 7 languages, including French, Russian, Italian, Spanish. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received 1 Lolita princess dress. Wear it, and you'll be the most dazzling loli princess. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received the skill, effortless charm. Your appearance is pleasing, giving people a very comfortable and sunny feeling. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have received Tai Chi for health. Though it has no combat power, it can cultivate the body and mind, adding to your inner depth. When the lottery ended, I stared at the rewards, a little dumbfounded. Out of 10 draws, besides photographic recall and effortless charm, the rest were pretty much useless to me. I was in America, I already spoke the language I needed. What was I going to do with 7 other languages? And Tai Chi for health? Wasn't that what old people did in the park? And what was with the hand warmers and the Lolita dress? What would a grown man like me do with those? Damn, this system is kind of a ripoff, I grumbled. But a reward was a reward. I stored the items away. The skills and abilities, however, were instantly absorbed and integrated into my mind. 2 days later. Outside Sterling Prep. I got out of my car and saw Thea waiting anxiously at the gate. I walked up to her with a smile. Thea, what's up? You were looking for me? She looked at me, then shyly lowered her head. Yes, Cole. I have something I need your help with. Her voice was as soft as a whisper. It seemed like this was the first time she'd ever had to ask someone for a favor. My expression turned serious. What is it, Thea? Tell me what you need. She bit her lip and stammered, my wallet is missing. The one I had when we went out the other day. I've looked everywhere for it for a whole day and can't find it. Your wallet's missing? When did you lose it? I asked. I noticed it was gone when I was getting my things ready for work yesterday morning. She had been in a rush and hadn't thought much of it then. But after 2 days of searching, there was still no sign of it. She now suspected it had been lost the day we went to the market. You seem really worried. Was there something important inside? Yes, she said, her voice filled with anxiety. There was a USB drive in it. A lot of my teaching materials are on that drive. You don't have a backup? No. I don't. I frowned, looking at the endless stream of traffic by the school gate. Get in the car first. Let's go somewhere else to talk. Okay. Thea obediently nodded and followed me. I drove to a coffee shop near the school, ordered us some coffee, and we found a quiet corner to sit. Sipping her coffee, Thea looked at me with a sad expression. Cole, do you think it was stolen when we were at the market? Probably, I nodded in agreement, my brow furrowing as the image of a skinny young man flashed in my mind. The day we were at the market, a young man had bumped into her. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now, it was obvious. That guy was a pickpocket. Her wallet was almost certainly taken by him. Then, does that mean I'll never get it back? Hearing my agreement, Thea's face fell. If her wallet was really stolen, it would be almost impossible to find. I smiled. Don't be so pessimistic. There might still be a chance to get it back. Thea shook her head. Cole, you don't have to try to cheer me up. I don't even know what the thief looked like. It's going to be so hard to find. Really? I chuckled, unfazed. How about this? If I help you find it, you owe me one favor. Deal? Cole, can you really find it? Seeing I wasn't joking, Thea's eyes lit up, a flicker of hope returning. No guarantees, I said. But I can give it a try. A look of joy finally spread across her face. Really? That would be amazing. Cole, I knew you'd have a way. Let's just say I have a lead. But you haven't agreed to my proposal yet. If I find your wallet, you'll grant me one small request. How about it? Thea hesitated for a moment, then nodded without much thought. Okay. Cole, as long as you can help me find my wallet, I'll agree. Good. Then it's a deal. Cole. Just as we were talking, a bright, familiar voice called out from behind us. A tall, slender girl walked over to our table. I turned and was slightly startled to see who it was. Chloe? I said instinctively. The girl was Chloe Vance, Isabella's younger sister, currently a university student. Back when the original Cole was pursuing Isabella, he had contacted Chloe many times, and their relationship was decent. Even though I had cut ties with Isabella, it had nothing to do with her sister. What are you doing here? Don't you have classes today? I asked with a smile. It's the weekend, no classes, Chloe said with a sweet grin, sliding into the seat next to me. Her eyes immediately landed on Thea. Seeing a girl as beautiful as herself, who radiated an air of gentle elegance, Chloe couldn't help but look back at me. Cole, who is this? She had seen us laughing and talking as she approached. She knew that besides work, I rarely interacted with other women except for her and her sister, of course. Seeing us together now made her intensely curious about our relationship. Is my sister about to have a rival? Is this girl chasing Cole? I had nothing to hide. This is Thea Sutton, a friend of mine. Then I turned to Thea. This is Chloe Vance. Just friends? Chloe thought, but her gaze on Thea held a new layer of caution. It wasn't just because Thea was beautiful, but because of her gentle, pure aura, a fatal attraction for most men. She wondered if Cole could resist. Thea, however, simply smiled warmly and extended her hand politely. Nice to meet you, Ms. Vance. You too, Chloe replied, shaking her hand with equal courtesy. The three of us chatted for a while before Chloe had to leave to meet her friends for a shopping trip. Cole, about the wallet, Thea said apologetically after Chloe left. Please help me look. If you really can't find it, it's okay. I'll figure something out for the files. It was clear she felt bad for asking for help so soon after we met. I nodded. I know. I'll call you as soon as I have good news. Okay, thank you. I'll get going then. We said our goodbyes, and Thea drove off. I got back into my own car, my mind replaying the scene at the night market. Petty thieves usually operate in quiet places where they won't be easily noticed. But to be able to pickpocket in a crowded place like the Southside Market, these weren't amateurs. They were likely repeat offenders, possibly working in a team. But either way, one thing was certain, they would strike again at the Southside Market. They were confident, maybe even arrogant, that they wouldn't get caught. For me, this was a good thing. I still had a clear memory of the skinny young man who had bumped into Thea. If I was patient, I was sure I could find him there. Looking out the window as the sky began to darken, I turned to Alex. Let's go. We're taking a trip to the Southside Market. Meanwhile, at the Lunabella Cosmetics headquarters, Isabella Vance stared at the financial reports on her desk, a deep frown on her face. It had been less than a week since she terminated the partnership with Vanguard Estates, and daily revenue was already down by 40%. At this rate, she wouldn't be able to clear out her current inventory by next month, let alone launch a new product line. She had been looking for other marketing partners, but the costs were staggering. A single campaign could cost over $1 million, and the profit-sharing models offered were 20-80 or 30-70 splits. She remembered her 10-90 deal with Vanguard, with all the rent waived. It was only now, after doing her own market research, that she realized how much Cole had been giving up for her. He had been taking a massive loss, all to her benefit. But regret was useless now. She needed to focus on selling her inventory and getting her company back on track. She had poured most of her capital into R&D for the new product line. If she couldn't recoup those funds soon, she would be in real trouble. Her gaze fell to her phone. She saw my name in her contacts and hesitated. Their relationship was strained. Although she desperately wanted to call and ask for help, she was the one who had insisted on cutting ties. It would be inappropriate to keep going back to me. With a sigh, she put the phone back down. Knock, knock. Ms. Vance. Her young assistant's voice came from the door. Come in. The assistant hurried into the office. Ms. Vance, there's a call from the CEO of Dust Cloud Technologies. Dust Cloud Technologies? Isabella looked up, puzzled. The name didn't ring a bell. Yes, ma'am, her assistant clarified. He said his name is Dalton. Leo Dalton. Does that ring a bell? At the assistant's prompting, Isabella's memory clicked. Momentum Media was a major digital marketing and communications firm. Its CEO, Leo Dalton, was a scion of the Dalton family, another of New York's 5 great dynasties. Strange. None of the firms she had previously contacted included Momentum Media. Isabella looked at her assistant. Did he say what he wanted? Her assistant nodded. Yes, he did. It's about a partnership. He seems to know that we're in urgent need of a new product promotion and wants to discuss a collaboration. Isabella's brow furrowed. Did he mention a time and place? Momentum Media was a top-tier player in the city. A partnership with them would guarantee a powerful marketing push. Her only concern was the price. A firm like that didn't come cheap. No, ma'am, but he left his direct line. He said you could call to arrange the details. The assistant placed a slip of paper with the phone number on Isabella's desk. All right. I understand, Isabella nodded, dismissing her. The product launch was critical and couldn't be delayed any longer. Every day she waited was another day of losses. She decided she would meet with Leo Dalton. As long as his terms weren't completely outrageous, she would have to consider accepting them. 2 days later. Outside Sterling Preparatory Academy. I got out of my car and saw Thea waiting anxiously at the gate. I walked up to her with a smile. Thea. You were looking for me? She looked at me, then shyly lowered her head. Yes, Cole. I have something I need your help with. Her voice was as soft as a whisper. It seemed like this was the first time she'd ever had to ask someone for a favor. My expression turned serious. What is it, Thea? Tell me what you need. She bit her lip and stammered, my wallet is missing. The one I had when we went out the other day. I've looked everywhere for it and can't find it. Your wallet's missing? When did you lose it? I asked. I noticed it was gone when I was getting my things ready for work yesterday morning. She had been in a rush and hadn't thought much of it then. But after 2 days of searching, there was still no sign of it. She now suspected it had been lost the day we went to the market. You seem really worried. Was there something important inside? Yes, she said, her voice filled with anxiety. There was a USB drive in it. A lot of my teaching materials are on that drive. You don't have a backup? No. I don't. I frowned, looking at the endless stream of traffic by the school gate. Get in the car first. Let's go somewhere else to talk. Okay. Thea obediently nodded and followed me. I drove to a coffee shop near the school, ordered us some coffee, and we found a quiet corner to sit. I had a pretty good idea of what had happened. Sipping her coffee, Thea looked at me with a sad expression. Cole, do you think it was stolen when we were at the market? Probably, I nodded in agreement, my brow furrowing as the image of a scrawny young man flashed in my mind. The day we were at the market, a young man had bumped into her. I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now, it was obvious. That guy was a pickpocket. Her wallet was almost certainly taken by him. Then, does that mean I'll never get it back? Hearing my agreement, Thea's face fell, a wave of dejection washing over her. If her wallet was really stolen, it would be almost impossible to find. I smiled. Don't be so pessimistic. There might still be a chance to get it back. Thea shook her head. Cole, you don't have to try to cheer me up. I don't even know what the thief looked like. It's going to be so hard to find. Really? I chuckled, unfazed. How about this? If I help you find it, you owe me one favor. Deal? Cole, can you really find it? Seeing I wasn't joking, Thea's eyes lit up, a flicker of hope returning. No guarantees, I said. But I can give it a try. A look of joy finally spread across her face. Really? That would be amazing. Cole, I knew you'd have a way. Let's just say I have a lead. But you haven't agreed to my proposal yet. If I find your wallet, you'll grant me one small request. How about it? Thea hesitated for a moment, then nodded without much thought. Okay. Cole, as long as you can help me find my wallet, I'll agree. Good. Then it's a deal. Cole. Just as we were talking, a bright, familiar voice called out from behind us. A tall, slender girl walked over to our table. I turned and was slightly startled to see who it was. Chloe? It was Chloe Vance, Isabella's younger sister. What are you doing here? Don't you have classes today? I asked with a smile. It's the weekend, no classes, Chloe said with a sweet grin, sliding into the seat next to me. Her eyes immediately landed on Thea. Seeing a girl as beautiful as herself, who radiated an air of gentle elegance, Chloe couldn't help but look back at me. Cole, who is this? She had seen us laughing and talking as she approached. She knew that besides work, I rarely interacted with other women except for her and her sister, of course. Seeing us together now made her intensely curious about our relationship. Is my sister about to have a rival? Is this girl chasing Cole? I had nothing to hide. This is Thea Sutton, a friend of mine. Then I turned to Thea. This is Chloe Vance. Just friends? Chloe thought, but her gaze on Thea held a new layer of caution. It wasn't just because Thea was beautiful, but because of her gentle, pure aura, a fatal attraction for most men. She wondered if Cole could resist. Thea, however, simply smiled warmly and extended her hand politely. Nice to meet you, Ms. Vance. You too, Chloe replied, shaking her hand with equal courtesy. The three of us chatted for a while before Chloe had to leave to meet her friends for a shopping trip. Cole, about the wallet, Thea said apologetically after Chloe left. Please help me look. If you really can't find it, it's okay. I'll figure something out for the files. I nodded. I know. I'll call you as soon as I have good news. Okay, thank you. I'll get going then. We said our goodbyes, and Thea drove off. I got back into my own car, my mind replaying the scene at the night market. Petty thieves usually operate in quiet places. But to be able to pickpocket in a crowded place like the Southside Market, these weren't amateurs. They were likely repeat offenders, possibly working in a team. But either way, one thing was certain, they would strike again. They were confident they wouldn't get caught. For me, this was a good thing. I still had a clear memory of the skinny young man. If I was patient, I was sure I could find him there. Looking out the window as the sky began to darken, I turned to Alex. Let's go. We're taking a trip to the Southside Market. That night, at the Vance residence, Isabella kicked off her stilettos, her face a mask of exhaustion as she sank into the living room sofa. Sis, you're home, Chloe said, emerging from her room in a pink bunny pajama set and fluffy white slippers, her hair in two pigtails. She plopped down right next to her sister. Yeah, just finished up at the office, Isabella nodded. Chloe frowned. You've been so busy lately, coming home late every night. The company's going through something, Isabella said vaguely, not wanting to worry her younger sister with the details. It'll be fine after a little while. She picked up a teacup from the table and took a sip. Chloe bit her lip, hesitating for a moment. Sis, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? I saw Cole today. He was at a coffee shop with another girl. She was really pretty. Isabella's body tensed, the teacup freezing mid-air. After a few seconds, she regained her composure and forced a smile. Why are you telling me this? It has nothing to do with me. Seeing her sister's feigned indifference, Chloe couldn't help but press. Sis, I'm your sister. I've seen everything Cole has done for you these past few years. He was serious about you. Now that he's with another girl, aren't you jealous? Or is it true what people say? That you never cared for him at all? Sis, tell me the truth. Did you ever, even for a moment, appreciate anything he did? Isabella's expression shifted. My business is my own. You should focus on your studies, understand? Sis, aren't you afraid that one day he'll fall in love with someone else? Do you know how badly I wanted to go over there and tell that girl that Cole already had a girlfriend? But I couldn't, because you never said yes to him. And I didn't want him to hate me. I'm focused on my career right now, Isabella said coldly. I'm not thinking about relationships. Do you even believe that when you say it? Chloe retorted. Your career is just an excuse. If you really liked him, your career and love wouldn't be in conflict. Isabella looked at her sister's determined face. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Go back to your room and rest. Sis, what's so bad about him? He chased you for 3 years. What other man would be that patient? Enough, don't say another word. Seeing Isabella was genuinely getting angry, Chloe fell silent. But as she stood up to leave, she stomped her foot in frustration. Sis, if you keep this up, you're going to regret it. The Southside Market. Boss, how are we supposed to find him here? Alex asked from a step behind me. I had filled him in on the stolen wallet. But looking at the massive, sprawling street, he thought the odds were slim to none. No rush, I said. Let's just walk around, get something to eat. I wasn't expecting to find the guy immediately. I was mainly here to kill time and test my luck. All right, then. Alex scratched his head and fell into step beside me. Mr. Preston? Just then, a familiar voice called out from behind me. I turned to see Jessica Reed in her sharp office attire, black stockings and heels clicking on the pavement, hurrying towards me, a look of disbelief on her face. Her call instantly drew the gazes of several men nearby. It wasn't every day you saw a woman dressed for a boardroom in the middle of a bustling night market. Her tall figure and refined features radiated a mature, captivating charm. She stood out like a black swan in a flock of pigeons. "Jessica? What are you doing here?" I was a bit surprised to see her. Jessica stopped beside me, her posture perfect, a charming smile on her face, and a faint, pleasant scent of orchid hanging in the air. "I live nearby. I just got off work and was going to grab a bite when I saw you, sir." "You live around here?" "That's quite a commute from the office," I remarked. She smiled. "It's not so bad. I'm an early riser, so I'm never late." The truth was, apartments near the office were far too expensive for a secretary's salary. She then looked at me curiously. "What about you, Mr. Preston? What brings you to the South Side Market?" "I'm here on a little business." "Are you finished?" "Not yet. My driver and I were about to grab some food first." Jessica's face lit up. "Really? I know this area like the back of my hand. If there's anything you want to eat, I can take you. And maybe I can tag along for a free meal?" She winked playfully. "You don't mind, do you, sir?" I smiled warmly. "I'd be delighted to have a beautiful woman like you join us. Order whatever you want, it's on me." A meal at a night market wouldn't break the bank. It was a nice perk for a loyal employee. And so, Jessica led us on a tour, introducing us to all the best food stalls. The flavors were incredible, the prices reasonable. And I discovered a side of Jessica I never knew existed. The woman who was so composed and professional at the office was an absolute foodie. Soup dumplings, spicy skewers, noodle bowls, roasted chestnuts, savory rice cakes. I lost count. "Mr. Preston, want to get some bubble tea?" "My treat this time," Jessica said, patting her full stomach contentedly. "Sure, I'll take one," I replied, not refusing. After she'd fleeced me for so much food, it was only fair she returned the favor. "Okay, wait here. I'll go stand in line." She then darted off towards a bubble tea shop with a long queue. Just then, Alex spoke up quietly beside me. "Boss, are we still looking for the guy?" "We'll see," I said. While I'd been eating with Jessica, I had been discreetly scanning the crowds, but there was no sign of the skinny young man. "Yes, sir," Alex replied, saying no more. But in his heart, he figured I'd probably forgotten all about the mission. I had seemed to be enjoying the food so much. He sighed. He wondered if Miss Sutton would ever see her wallet again. Suddenly, my eyes narrowed. I focused on the bubble tea shop where Jessica was waiting. My gaze locked onto a figure in the crowd. There was no mistake. It was him. The scrawny young man. So, he was back at it again. "Come on, Alex. To the bubble tea shop." I got up quickly. Alex, though confused, followed without question. Jessica had just gotten our drinks and was turning around when she saw us approaching. She smiled and handed me a cup. "Here you go, Mr. Preston. Your tea. Hold this for me, will you? And just walk around for a bit. I have to take care of something. I'll be back." "Oh, okay," Jessica nodded, understanding that my business was probably starting now. After giving her instructions, Alex and I hurried after the skinny man. Just as I expected, as we rounded a corner, we saw him in action. His method was the same as before, but this time his target was a portly, greasy-faced middle-aged man. He brushed past the man, leaning forward as if stumbling into him. At the same time, his right hand snaked into the man's pocket, and in a flash, he had the man's phone and wallet in his own pocket. The whole process took less than 30 seconds, smooth and seamless. After the successful theft, just like before, the skinny man bowed apologetically to his victim. Once the man waved him off, he quickly disappeared from the scene. "Boss, I'll go get him," Alex said, his face hardening with anger. "Follow him first," I instructed. "Wait until he's somewhere secluded. And call for more of our security guys. The faster, the better." I suspected he had accomplices. To pinpoint a target so accurately, he was either casing them for a while or had a spotter. If we confronted him now, his partners might jump in, and the situation could get chaotic. We tailed the skinny man for a while. He didn't make another move. Instead, he walked to a relatively deserted corner of the market. There, by a pile of trash, two middle-aged men were leaning against a wall, smoking. When they saw him approach, they quickly tossed their cigarettes. "Slim? How'd it go? You get anything? When do I ever miss?" The skinny man, Slim, said smugly, tossing a wallet and a phone to one of the men, a guy with glasses. He then casually lit a cigarette for himself. The man with glasses, specs, opened the wallet. "Nice one, Slim. A few $100 in cash. Fat bastard had some money on him. And the phone's a new model. We can probably get a few grand for it." The other man, a bald guy, laughed. "Business has been good these past few days. We've hit a few big spenders." Specs shook his head, his expression darkening. "This side is doing okay, but the other operation is in the toilet. The cops have been cracking down lately, and those new clubs that opened up nearby are stealing all our customers. On top of that, I screwed up and grabbed a real handful this time. If we get found out, we're all going down." The bald man sighed. "Yeah, I've had guys looking into it. We can't keep going like this. My family's gotta eat. If it comes to it, I say we find a new city. As for the girl we grabbed, if we have to, we just get rid of her. Keep it clean. No one will ever trace it back to us." Slim took a drag from his cigarette. "Specs, who is this girl you guys grabbed anyway? I hear her screaming in that room all day, but you guys won't even touch her. Any other girl, you would have beaten her into submission by now." At Slim's question, Specs and the bald guy exchanged a look. Specs took out a cigarette, lit it, and looked at Slim with a grim expression. "You know the Hudson Syndicate?" Slim nodded. "Heard of them. They run this part of town. Most of the businesses here are under their control. The girl we grabbed," Specs continued, his voice low, "is the youngest daughter of the syndicate's boss. She's his treasure. One of my guys screwed up and grabbed her by mistake. Now she's a ticking time bomb in my hands. I can't let her go, and I can't keep her." The bald man just sighed. The syndicate had put out the word, $5 million cash for anyone who could find their princess. That showed how much the boss valued her. If they found out his men had her, they'd be skinned alive. Slim's eyes went wide. "So what do we do now?" Specs shook his head. "I don't know. Wait it out a little longer. If it comes to the worst, we'll have to do what Baldy said. We can't afford to mess with the Hudson Syndicate." He composed himself. "Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. I'm heading back." "Okay," Slim nodded. "I haven't eaten yet, I'm starving." Just as they were about to leave, two figures suddenly appeared at the mouth of the alley, blocking their exit. The three of them froze. "Hey, buddy. You're in our way," Specs said, scowling at the man in the lead, who was dressed in a sharp suit. Slim stared at the man in the suit. He looked vaguely familiar, but he couldn't place him. I offered a placid smile, my eyes sweeping over the three of them. I had overheard their entire conversation from the side. These weren't just petty thieves, they were an organized criminal gang. I then looked directly at Slim. "You have a short memory. You stole my friend's wallet just the other day. Forgotten so soon?" Slim stared at me, at my expensive clothes, and it finally clicked. He remembered the girl, Thea. "It's you." Specs's eyes narrowed. So, they had come looking for trouble. Explanations were useless now. He gave a sharp nod to the other two. "Get your weapons," he hissed. "Take him out." The words had barely left his mouth. The bald man and Slim, the skinny pickpocket, pulled out sharp utility knives and charged at me with furious expressions. "A couple of street rats like you think you can touch my boss?" Before I could even react, Alex stepped in front of me. Alex was a mountain of a man, standing 6'2", with a powerful build honed by years of professional combat training. The two thugs rushed forward, but before they could even get close, Alex took them down. A swift, brutal series of strikes, and they were on the ground, groaning and unable to move. The man with the glasses, Specs, watched his two accomplices fall, his face turning pale. He quickly tried to de-escalate. "Brother, the wallet was our mistake. We were blind. Let us go, and I'll give it back to you. From now on, we stay out of each other's way. What do you say?" At the same time, his right hand was fumbling behind his back with his phone, trying to call for backup. I saw the movement immediately. "What's this? Trying to call your friends?" Hearing this, Alex exploded into action. He lunged forward, a blur of motion, and delivered a sharp chop to the side of Specs's neck, snatching the phone from his hand. "Boss, the call didn't go through." I glanced at the three unconscious men on the ground, my mind racing. "When are our men getting here?" "They're on their way," Alex said. 10 minutes, max. Tie them up and wake them. I have some questions for them." "Yes, sir." I don't know where Alex found it, but he produced some thick rope and quickly bound the three men's hands and feet. A sharp kick to the ribs brought them sputtering back to consciousness. They woke up screaming. Then, seeing they were tied up, their bravado vanished. They immediately started begging for mercy. "Hey, man, we were wrong. Please, have a heart, let us go. We don't have any beef with you. I'll give you the wallet back, I swear. And I'll throw in 10 grand in cash as an apology. How does that sound?" Yeah, man. Just don't call the cops. We'll do anything you say. Anyone who's been around the block knows a thing or two. They might sound sincere now, but if I let them go, they'd have their whole crew after me before I could turn the corner. I wasn't that stupid. You can't trust a pickpocket. I'm going to ask the questions now, and you're going to answer them. Understood? I looked at the three of them, my gaze settling on Specs, the leader. Specs hesitated for a moment, then nodded meekly. "Go ahead, boss. Ask away. Tell me. How many people are in this crew of yours, and what kind of business are you in?" Specs flinched. He forced a clueless smile. "Boss, what are you talking about? I don't understand." Seeing him play dumb, the hot-tempered Alex let out a roar and slapped him hard across the face. "Still pretending? We heard everything you said earlier. I suggest you start talking, and be honest." "Brothers, I really don't know what you're talking about," Specs insisted, a flicker of malice in his eyes that he quickly hid. "It's fine if you don't want to talk," I said with a calm smile, crouching down to look him in the eye. "I'm not in a hurry." I glanced around the deserted alley. They had picked a good spot. It was far enough from the main market, and with the darkness, no one would pass by. I could do whatever I wanted to them here, and no one would ever know. I looked back at Alex and gave him a subtle nod. Alex understood immediately. He grabbed a dirty rag from the ground and stuffed it into Specs's mouth. Then he picked up a wooden plank from a pile of debris, weighing it in his hand. Crack! He brought the plank down hard on Specs's shoulder. MMPH. Specs's face contorted in agony. He tried to scream, but only muffled groans came out. His body trembled uncontrollably. The blow was severe. Alex. Again. Crack. Another vicious strike landed, making the other two flinch in terror. After several more blows, Specs was no longer composed. He shook his head frantically, signaling for me to take the gag out. He had something to say. Alex finally stopped and removed the rag. "Talk," I said coolly. "I hope we can be frank with each other." Specs, realizing he was dealing with someone ruthless, swallowed hard. We have about 100 people. We just do some small-time stuff." "What kind of small-time stuff?" He hesitated, looking at me. "Theft, begging, we run a few massage parlors, and a card room." I stood up, not pressing further for a moment. This crew had its fingers in a lot of pies, all of them illegal. The massage parlors and card rooms were likely fronts for much more than he was letting on. And his accent wasn't local. This was probably a transient crew, maybe even a trafficking ring. "Where are you guys based right now?" I asked. At this question, Specs started begging again. Boss, please, give us a break. Name your price, we'll pay. I don't need your money, I said with a cold laugh. Specs's face hardened, his obsequious expression vanishing. He glared at me. Then call the cops, you son of a bitch. I'm not talking. If he gave up their location, they were all dead. He knew which was the lesser of two evils. If the cops came, his crew would hear the sirens and have time to scatter. And since this rich kid didn't have any hard evidence on him, the most they'd get was a few days in jail for theft. Who said anything about calling the cops? I replied with a smile. Sometimes the simplest, most brutal methods get the best results. And I'm curious to see just how tough you really are. Calling the cops was definitely on the agenda, but not yet. Originally, I just wanted to get Thea's wallet back. But after hearing their conversation about the Hudson Syndicate, my interest was piqued. The syndicate, while a criminal organization, couldn't match the Preston family in terms of legitimate resources or political connections. But the fact that they could thrive in this city, building their own empire, meant they were not to be underestimated. As the saying goes, he who has nothing to lose fears nothing. When it came to ruthlessness, the syndicate wouldn't back down from my family. If I could use this opportunity to build a connection with them, it could give me a better understanding of the city's underworld. That wasn't a bad thing for me. Just then, 7 or 8 black sedans pulled up at the end of the alley. Dozens of sharp-eyed men in suits got out and stood respectfully before me. Boss. Right on time, I nodded with satisfaction, then pointed at the 3 men on the ground. Break them. I want to see who talks first. Specs and his crew saw the sudden arrival of my men, and their hearts sank. They knew they had messed with the wrong person. But they also knew they couldn't give up their base. The alternative was a much worse fate. The sounds of a brutal beating echoed through the alley for a long, long time. When I looked at the 3 men again, they were completely broken, limp on the ground, barely able to move. I'll talk. I'll talk. Please, stop. I'll tell you everything. The bald man was the first to break, raising a trembling hand in surrender. He gave me their location, an old factory complex on the south side. I questioned him further, and satisfied that he wasn't lying, I had my men call the police to take them away. Then, I took Alex and a few of my best security guys and headed for the old factory. After a 10-minute drive, we arrived. The area was dilapidated, clearly slated for demolition. Old residential buildings had been leveled by excavators, and dust hung heavy in the air. It was remote, with few people around. I looked up at the remaining tenement buildings. It was a good location. From the upper floors, they could monitor the entire area. Any sign of trouble, and they'd spot it instantly. Boss, maybe we should go in, and you wait in the car, Alex suggested, clearly worried about my safety. It's fine. I'm going with you, I said, shaking my head. It was just a small-time gang. I wasn't concerned. Though they had numbers, my men were all professionally trained. One of them could take on 10 of these thugs. With Alex by my side, I wasn't worried. Besides, finding Thea's wallet was secondary now. My main goal was to find the Hudson Syndicate boss's daughter. The old tenement building was 7 stories high, with no elevator. According to the bald man, almost everyone in the building was part of their crew. I sent a few of my men in first to scout the situation. I knew my team's capabilities, their reconnaissance skills were top-notch. Boss, we got a text from the team inside, Alex reported a few minutes later. What's the situation? There are about 100 people in the building, like he said. But only half are men. The rest are women and children. And they found that the men are all on the lower floors, 1 through 5. Floors 6 and 7 are where the women and children are kept, like they're being guarded. They suspect this is a human trafficking ring. And they're not speaking English, it sounds like some foreign dialect. They're not from around here. Human traffickers? I frowned, my eyes hardening as I looked at the distant building. This was far more sinister than I had imagined. Did they find the girl I was looking for? Alex nodded. Yes. She's locked in a room on the 5th floor. She's unharmed. My eyes flickered. It seemed they didn't dare mess with the syndicate. Have they located the leader? Not yet, Alex said. But a lot of the men are gathered in a room on the third floor, drinking and playing cards. The leader is probably in there. There aren't many guards outside. If we move now, we can take them down quickly. Good, I said, my voice cold. But keep it quiet. I don't want any of them getting away. Third floor of the tenement building. The room was brightly lit and filled with noise. A dozen men were gathered around several tables, drinking, chatting, and playing cards. The floor was littered with empty beer cans and sunflower seed shells. Three of a kind. A man with a buzz cut yelled, throwing down his cards. He then looked at a middle-aged man in a black leather jacket with a cigarette dangling from his lips. Boss, it's getting late. How come Specs and the guys aren't back yet? I'll take that, the man in the jacket said, grabbing the card. Probably took Slim and Baldy to find some girls. He then looked at the woman next to him. Ruby, your turn. The woman, heavily made up but clearly older, drew a card and then slammed her hand down with a triumphant laugh. Ha, I win. A full house. I'll take that pot. The buzz-cut man grimaced. Damn, Ruby, your luck is insane tonight. That's another grand you've taken from me. The boss chuckled. Ruby's on a hot streak tonight. Ruby laughed. This is nothing. I lost a ton last week. It's about time my luck turned. As they were celebrating, a fat man at the table stood up. Hey, boss, I'm out. My luck is garbage tonight. Lost almost 10 grand. I need a break. He then called out to one of the lackeys. Someone take my spot. I've got something to take care of. A young, eager-looking guy immediately jumped in to take his place. The boss didn't pay him any mind and continued the game. Humph. As he left the room, the fat man spat on the floor. Damn my luck tonight. He grumbled, then stomped his way up the stairs. A room on the 5th floor. A girl of about 12 or 13 sat huddled in a corner, her arms wrapped around herself, a look of fear and grievance on her face. She had delicate, pretty features and pale, smooth skin. What stood out most were her long legs, covered in white knee-high socks. They were perfectly shaped, straight and slender, without a single blemish. Though she was young, she already carried the poise of someone who would grow into a stunning woman. This was none other than Daisy, the daughter of the Hudson Syndicate's boss. This was the 4th day of her captivity. She knew these men were evil. She had seen them hurting the older girls upstairs, and even some of the other children. While they hadn't treated her as badly as the others, they often forgot to feed her and never let her leave this room. Fear was a constant companion. They were cruel, violent men. It was only a matter of time before they hurt her, too. At the thought, her eyes filled with tears, threatening to spill over at any moment. Mommy, I miss you. I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore, sniffle. The emotions finally overwhelmed her, and she began to sob quietly, tears tracing paths down her young face. Click. The door suddenly swung open, startling her. She hugged herself tighter, her eyes wide with terror as she stared at the entrance. Then, she saw him. A handsome man, impeccably dressed, pushed the door open. A kind, gentle smile was on his face as he looked at her. Hey there, he said softly. Want to go home? The man who entered was me. The guards on the 5th floor had all been quietly and efficiently neutralized by my team. Daisy's tear-filled eyes widened, and a spark of light appeared in them. He's so handsome. His smile is so warm. He looked so different from the other men, so clean and kind. He couldn't be a bad person. Could he be a hero? Here to rescue me? The storybooks weren't lying after all. When the princess is in danger, her Prince Charming appears to save her. What's wrong? Don't you believe me? I asked, seeing her stare at me in a daze. The moment I spoke, she launched herself from the floor and into my arms, sobbing with all the pent-up fear and loneliness she had endured. There are so many bad men here. They hurt people. Mister, will you protect me? I was taken aback for a moment, then realized the poor girl was simply terrified. I gently stroked her head. "Don't worry," I reassured her. "I'll keep you safe." Daisy finally managed a small sniffle, wiping the tears from her eyes. I smiled and held out my hand. "Come on. I'll get you out of here." "Okay." Looking at the large hand offered to her, Daisy didn't hesitate. With a shy expression, she placed her small hand in mine, letting me lead her away. With the syndicate boss's daughter found, all that was left was Thea's wallet. I had planned to have my men escort Daisy back to the car first, but she clung to me, shrinking away from anyone else who came near. I had no choice. I would have to take her out myself and leave the wallet recovery to Alex and his team. In the car, Daisy rubbed her small stomach and looked up at me with wide, pleading eyes. "Mister, I'm hungry." She hadn't eaten all day. I chuckled softly. "All right. I'll take you to get something to eat nearby." Okay, back in the tenement building. After I left, Alex didn't immediately search for the wallet. Following a tip from one of his team members, he decided to check the 6th and 7th floors first. He pushed open a door and froze. The room was filled with 7 or 8 young women. At the sight of Alex and his men, they scrambled to their feet, huddling together in a corner, their eyes wide with terror. They were all young, the youngest barely in their teens, the oldest in their mid-20s. Their hair was matted, their faces smudged with dirt, and their clothes were filthy and torn. Alex's jaw tightened. "Archer," he said to one of his men, "what's the 7th floor look like?" The man, Archer, replied grimly, "The 7th floor is the kids, Alex." "It's worse." Alex fought to control the rage boiling inside him. "Take me up there." A few moments later, he was on the 7th floor. "Sons of bitches." The words escaped Alex's lips, a low growl of pure fury. He, who was usually so composed, couldn't hold it back. The children inside were broken. Some were missing hands, others had crippled legs. One had a face so disfigured it was barely human. Not a single child in that room was whole. These were not accidents. This was the work of monsters. Thank God the boss already left, he thought. He shouldn't have to see this. Alex had seen terrible things in his years of service overseas, but he never imagined that human depravity could sink this low. "Alex," one of his men said, his voice tight, "the boss said to find the wallet and then call the cops. What's the play?" Alex's fist slammed into the concrete wall beside him. "To hell with calling the cops," he snarled. "I'm going to tear these animals apart myself. I'll take the heat from the boss later." "Good," Archer said with a grim smile. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say." They had all been horrified by what they found during their initial recon. Most of them were veterans. Seeing something like this ignited a fire in them that they couldn't ignore. They hadn't told me the full extent of it, knowing my more temperate nature would likely lead me to call the police immediately. That wasn't the justice they wanted to see delivered. But they didn't know that the Cole Preston of today was not the same man he used to be. Had I seen this, my reaction might have been even more brutal than theirs. As they stood there, seething with rage, a commotion started downstairs. The fat man, still fuming from his losses at the card table, stomped his way up to the 6th floor and kicked open the door, completely oblivious to Alex's team on the floor above. He scanned the room of frightened women, his eyes landing on 2 of the younger, prettier girls. He pointed a meaty finger at them. "You too. Come with me." The 2 girls paled. The younger one clutched her older sister's arm, trembling with fear. The older sister immediately dropped to her knees. "Mr. Zhu, please, spare my sister. She's been working for days, she's exhausted. Please, have mercy. I'm sure Ruby would let her rest if she knew." Smack! The fat man, already in a foul mood, kicked the woman hard in the stomach, then grabbed her by the hair and slammed her head against the floor. "Don't you dare use that old hag's name to threaten me. You think I'm scared of her? I want this little bitch tonight, and we'll see what Ruby can do about it." He had lost a fortune to Ruby at the card table tonight. The last thing he wanted was to hear her name. "Don't hurt my sister. Please, I'll go with you." The younger girl cried, scrambling forward and grabbing at the man's pants, tears streaming down her face. Smack! The fat man backhanded her across the face with extreme impatience. Get off me! He spat. Just as he raised his hand to strike again, a powerful force slammed into his side, sending him sprawling to the ground. A sharp, agonizing pain shot through his ribs, as if his bones had shattered. Who the hell kicked me? You got a death wish? The fat man roared, looking up to see who had dared to attack him. His eyes widened in shock. A dozen tall, imposing strangers in tactical gear were blocking the doorway, their expressions like granite. Who are you people? How did you get in here? He stammered. Alex looked from the two injured women on the floor to the fat man, his eyes as cold as ice. An animal like you doesn't deserve to know who we are. With that, he delivered a swift, brutal kick. A sickening crunch echoed in the room. Arg! The fat man clutched his groin, his body convulsing, but before he could even scream, Alex brought a baton down on his head, knocking him unconscious. He then kicked the body aside. Alex turned to the two women. Are you okay? He asked, his voice softening slightly. But they didn't answer. They just clung to each other, staring at Alex and his men with a strange, complex expression in their eyes. There was curiosity, fear, and a dawning, desperate hope. Seeing they wouldn't speak, Alex didn't press them. He stood up and looked at the other women in the room, then turned to his team. Let's go. We're going to the third floor to take out the trash. Yes, sir. The team responded in unison. Just then, one of the two assaulted women, the older sister, spoke up, her voice raspy. You're going to the third floor? Alex paused, surprised she was willing to speak. He didn't hide his intentions, giving a firm nod before gesturing for his men to move out. The woman bit her lip, adding a quiet warning. There are a lot of them. Her words made Alex stop again. He realized she was worried they were outnumbered. It was an unnecessary concern. Each of his men was a trained professional, more than capable of handling several opponents at once. Still, he appreciated her well-intentioned warning. It's fine, Alex said, his voice softening slightly. You don't need to worry. After we're done here, we'll call the police to get you home safely. With that, he led his team out of the room. Knock, knock. On the third floor, in a room thick with cigarette smoke and the smell of cheap beer, the boisterous card game was interrupted by a knock at the door. Ha! That must be Slim and the guys. Probably forgot their keys again, a woman with garish makeup, Ruby, cackled. The middle-aged man at the head of the table didn't think much of it. He waved a dismissive hand at a young lackey cracking sunflower seeds nearby. Mickey, go get the door for them. You got it, boss. The kid, Mickey, hopped up, swaggering to the door with a hum. Click, the lock had just turned when the door was suddenly shoved inward with violent force. It slammed into Mickey's face, sending him stumbling backward. In the doorway stood Alex and his team, their cold eyes scanning the chaotic room and its occupants. Instantly, the atmosphere shifted. Everyone in the room was on their feet, surrounding the intruders. Who the hell are you? Looking for trouble? Boss, we got uninvited guests. What's the call? Slim and the others aren't back yet. You think something happened? Boss, are these guys cops? They got balls, coming here. Boss, let me take care of them. The men from the card table, including the leader, stood up, their expressions wary as they sized up Alex's crew. This was their turf. The entire tenement building was a fortress, watched by their own people. For this crew to get to the third floor without a single alarm being raised was deeply unsettling. But if they had walked in so openly, they probably weren't cops. You boys with the Hudson Syndicate? The leader asked, his voice low. They'd been in the city for a while now, deliberately keeping a low profile and sticking to their own business. The only major screw-up was accidentally kidnapping the daughter of the Hudson Syndicate's boss a few days ago. The timing of this visit was too coincidental. He knew they were no match for a power like the Syndicate. If they'd been found out, his only option was to talk. He shot a silencing glare at his men, then stepped forward. Gentlemen, he began, I think there might be a misunderstanding. The girl, Daisy, she's fine. Resting upstairs. This was our mistake, I admit it. How about we offer some compensation? We can make this all go away, nice and quiet. What do you say? Smack! The sharp sound of a slap echoed through the room, followed by Alex's furious roar. Don't give me that misunderstanding bullshit. You're the leader of this filth, aren't you? Trafficking women, murdering children. Scum like you deserves to die 1,000 times over. He'd heard a little about the Hudson Syndicate from Cole. That wasn't his concern. Right now, all he wanted was to take out the trash. Boss! Seeing their leader struck, the lackeys erupted. They grabbed whatever they could, bottles, chair legs, and charged. Get them! Kill every last one of these bastards. Alex's team met the charge without hesitation. The room descended into chaos. The leader, Cyrus, cradled his stinging, red cheek, his eyes turning venomous as he watched Alex fight. Cyrus, what do we do? Ruby shrieked, clutching his arm, her face pale with terror. If this brings the cops, we're done for. This place is burned, Cyrus said, his cold gaze fixed on the brawl. He knew their time here was up. The cops would be on their way soon. And the fact that Slim and the others never returned meant they were already compromised. Hearing this, Ruby's face went white. She gripped his sleeve tighter. Cyrus, you have to take me with you. I can't go to prison. A flash of impatience crossed Cyrus's face. Let's go. We grabbed the cash from upstairs, and we're out of here. Okay, Cyrus. Whatever you say. On the other side of the room, Alex floored a burly thug and caught sight of Cyrus and Ruby slipping away. He barked an order to his teammates and immediately gave chase. On the 4th floor, Cyrus pulled a safe from under his bed and frantically stuffed stacks of cash into a duffel bag. After he was done, he discreetly tucked a prepared switchblade into his back pocket. Cyrus, are we leaving now? Ruby scurried in from the next room, clutching her own purse. Cyrus's eyes darted to her bag. Let's move. My car's parked downstairs. No time to waste. Right. Sensing the urgency, Ruby turned to leave. But in that instant, Cyrus's expression turned savage. He whipped the switchblade from his pocket and plunged it deep into Ruby's back. Thump! She collapsed, her body going limp as she stared up at him in disbelief. Cyrus, you! Before she could finish, he stabbed her again and again in the chest, 7, 8 times, until she was still. Don't blame me, sister, Cyrus muttered, his voice devoid of emotion. You'd only slow me down. He snatched the purse from her lifeless hands, glanced at the bundles of cash inside, and headed for the stairs. He had just reached the landing when he saw Alex coming up from below. He spun around and sprinted back up. Alex, seeing this, took the stairs 3 at a time in pursuit. On the 6th floor, before Alex could react, Cyrus grabbed one of the captive women and pressed the blade to her throat. It was the same woman, the older sister, who Alex had rescued moments before. Alex's face hardened. Let her go! He yelled. In response, Cyrus pressed the blade harder, drawing a thin line of blood on her neck. Hey, man, live and let live, Cyrus panted, his eyes wild. Don't push me. You let me walk out of here, and I promise she won't get hurt. He knew he was no match for Alex in a straight fight, and he didn't have time to waste. Alex said nothing. He couldn't let the woman get hurt, but he couldn't let this monster escape either. As Alex hesitated, the woman, fueled by a surge of desperate courage, grabbed Cyrus's knife hand and bit down, hard. Arg! You fucking bitch! Cyrus screamed in pain and reflexively slashed at her, opening a 4-inch gash on her arm. But as he raised the knife to strike again, he found Alex was already on him. A powerful kick slammed into Cyrus's stomach, forcing him to his knees. When I led Daisy back into the night market, I was surprised to find Jessica Reed still there, holding 2 cups of bubble tea. If I had to guess, she'd been waiting for at least an hour. Mr. Preston, and this is... Jessica's eyes widened slightly as she took in the little girl beside me. She's adorable. Could she be his sister? But what would a relative of someone like him be doing in a place like the South Side? Jessica, you were still waiting, I said with a gentle smile, choosing not to answer her question directly. I thought she would have left after I told her I had business to attend to. Daisy, meanwhile, instinctively glanced at Jessica's long legs in their black stockings, then shuffled closer, her small hand tightening its grip on mine. She seemed a little shy around strangers. Jessica smiled sweetly. You didn't take your tea. I figured you'd be back soon, so I waited. I gave an apologetic laugh. That's my fault. I'm sorry. I really hadn't been clear, and she'd been stuck waiting because of it. If I hadn't brought Daisy back here for food, she would have waited for nothing. Jessica didn't seem upset at all. Instead, she teased, Mr. Preston, Jessica teased, her eyes sparkling. Besides, you're my boss. It's part of the job description to wait for you. Is that so? I played along. I never thought of myself as the humble type. That wasn't entirely a joke. Humility wasn't my strong suit, caution was. In this world, a place far more dangerous than I was used to, I was just a passerby, an NPC. Making waves was a good way to get deleted from the game. My earlier apology to Jessica hadn't been genuine remorse, it was a reflex, the kind of polite charm every player knows is a vital tool.